1 year ago today, the Nintendo Switch hit store shelves, and since then it's had kind of a whirlwind of a year. Starting off with chip shortages that caused the device to be slow to store shelves initially, the console came back to surge later in the year, surpassing the sales records of its predecessor's entire lifespan. After using it for 1 year, with many different games and in many different places, how does the console perform? Hello everybody, YoshiGuy64 here, and this may be the best console for whatever situation you throw at it. This is my official review of the Nintendo Switch 1 year after its launch. Let's take a look. The Nintendo Switch combines all of the features of the 3DS and Wii U in one single package, and despite it being $300, it's kind of a bargain if you think about it. If you bought the Wii U home console, it would set you back roughly $300, the same price that the Switch is. And if you bought the 3DS along with it, deduct another $200 from your savings. But with the Switch, you get the entire package for only $299 total, and I was more than willing to go ahead and dive in right on release day. Now, in terms of designing their consoles like everybody else, Nintendo has, let's just say, not had a history of doing that, and with the Switch it's kind of the same way. Rather than having something where it's a separate box and controller, the Switch just takes that all away right from the start. And it kind of has to. It may not seem like it, but when the 3DS was out, it had to do the same type of thing the Switch did, having all the power in one small unit, which can be limiting, but it also carries a lot of opportunity for the consumer. Nintendo has never really been a company that's obsessed with performance in terms of what you could get on paper either. During the last console generation, when consoles basically started at 1080p HD, the Wii U only included 720. But despite that, the Wii U's titles, especially the first-party ones, looked amazing and almost never dropped in performance. And that's kind of the case now too. With most of the competition working 4K into pretty much every one of their consoles, the Switch only features 1080p. Upgrade from the Wii U, but not as great as its competition. To be honest though, I'm willing to give up specs for some great first-party titles. But because the Switch is so demanding, it doesn't always stay as steady in terms of performance as the Wii U did. The tablet screen is only 720p, despite the console upscaling to 1080, but the quality drop is noticeable in some titles. For example, I've been putting a ton of time into Rocket League, and taking the console out of the dock and into tablet mode loses quite a bit of resolution that sometimes feels worse than it actually is. So yeah, the tablet isn't perfect. Nintendo isn't always known for making Apple quality technology, mainly because if they did so, up goes the price. It's plenty powerful on its own, and being able to take it wherever I go is incredibly appreciated. The kickstand on the back makes it super easy to use in most scenarios, and the capacitive glass touchscreen gives it a similar feel to something like my iPad. Plus, having all of the qualities of a premium console and a footprint that can almost fit into your pocket is wonderful and amazing in terms of how well it performs. The Switch just wouldn't be the Switch without, of course, the Joy-Con. Now that said, when the console was initially announced, I was honestly a little bit confused. With the way the Joy-Cons work as two detachable controllers that can hold a variety of different control methods, I initially saw them as very motion-controlled heavy, which I thought was kind of weird. If you remember back to the good old Wii days, motion controls were huge. The new level of immersion for the time where you could perform actions like hitting a tennis ball as you would in real life made it great for players to get into video games. But several years later, when Nintendo released the Wii U, they ditched the motion control Wiimote in favor of a larger, more standard-ish controller. Putting the Joy-Cons on the Switch, which easily have the best motion controls I've used in any console, is definitely a clear definition of Nintendo's intentions with the system, to make it a powerful machine that anybody can use and get into. The Joy-Cons have a bunch of different possible ways to control, all using a rail mechanism that locks them into whatever accessory you're going to use them in. These include the tablet itself, a controller grip, wrist straps, and plenty of other accessories. These various modes of control really help the Switch to work in many different circumstances, especially those that aren't quite ideal for most of its competition. That said, I don't often find myself playing the Switch particularly with other people in these circumstances. The Joy-Cons are pretty small, and if you split them up between two players, they almost completely fit in the palm of your hand. While it does help in terms of portability, it doesn't really help the Joy-Cons to work in most split two-player-like situations. As a starter controller, the Joy-Cons work incredibly well and have many different features spanning a lot of different modes of control. The Switch has kind of proven itself to be the best machine for any circumstance, and the Joy-Cons supplement that notion really well. At first glance, it doesn't really seem necessary to mention the dock in terms of the rest of the console, but it actually plays an important part as to how the Switch performs in more standard playstyles. The dock is a relatively compact peripheral that connects to a TV through HDMI, and placing the tablet into the dock will almost immediately project it onto the screen. While this basically takes away the function of the Switch in tablet mode, it both charges the console and the Joy-Cons, making it useful even when it's not in use. Initially, I didn't know if I'd want it sitting on my desk, but the cool, almost sparkly matte finish of the dock makes it look really sleek. I really love it accompanying the rest of my setup. The Switch may not be the best console for everything, but it does really reflect Nintendo as a company. Gaming isn't always about having the best specs or looking the best, it's about the experience. Considering the fact that Nintendo not only made a powerful console but many amazing games for it really just blows my mind. And ultimately, if I'm at home or on the go, I'll be pulling a Switch out of my pocket. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for everything nerdy and Nintendo.